All right. So in this video, I'm going to be walking through how to use this money tracking template. And yeah, it's a little arduous and tedious to use, but I think that actually tracking every single one of your expenses is one of the best habits that you can develop to really have a tight grip of your understanding of money. And while there's Mint and there's these sort of softwares out there that'll aggregate all your spending and show you the buckets, there is something really to going through every single line item of every single expense you're making and logging it. And if you think that's going to take you a lot of time, well, a simple solution is to spend less money, and then you'll have less inputs to make. So it also gives you a nice motive to be really thoughtful with your spending, because every time you use your credit card, every time if you commit to using this sheet, every single time you're using money, you know you're going to have to log it and you're going to have to process that. So it's kind of a funny alignment here. So this is the home page right here, and this just sort of gives a written walkthrough of how things are organized and what things are using or how to use it. Again, we sort of recommend using it every week, maybe every other week, but you know, Sunday ritual, any sort of ritual, it really should only take you half hour, maybe an hour. And the outcome you get from this practice is tremendous with your understanding of money. So first, I'm going to show, so this is the dashboard. This is what is sort of the foundational view of the money. I have some inputs in here, but this is how it's broken down, right? So it's week over week, 2026 week number. So I'll add this in by the time you're using this. There will be the start of the week, but it's basically week over week, what you're spending. And the way this is calculated, right, it's broken down into all these different categories. And the inputs here are where your practice comes in. So I've just thrown in some examples here, and it's auto. All you have to do is make sure the date is correct. The account is more of just if you want to track where the money is being spent from. So this is saying, am I paying cash? Am I paying from credit card? This you could hide if you don't want to use this. The main things that matter here are column A, column C, and column D. Even E is just if you want to include notes, but it is what it is, right? So if you look here, so we got different amounts in different things, right? So I got savings, utilities, income, subscriptions, groceries, eating out, all over these different weeks. And so it populates here to show you where all these things go, right? So I got my income. So income came in week 2. I threw $200 in savings, right? And then it's going to calculate your total for every single week, saying, okay, there wasn't any income this week. We spent $130, $125 from fun and eating out. So our net cash for these 2 weeks is minus 130, minus 125. And then the way this operates too is, so in a month where you have income and you have expenses and you have savings, right? The way it's going to calculate is it's going to say, okay, so there was income, so that's $1,000 to you. There was savings, $200, also to you, but not necessarily an expense. And then there was an expense, in this case, utilities, right? So the way this is calculating it, the net cash, that's why, again, theme is cash flow. You want to be aware of where your cash is flowing. And to me, when you're paying yourself, a saving, you should be thinking, I'm not going to touch that for a long, long time. So that's not really cash available to you. That's not extra cash. That's savings. And I think it's an important mindset when sort of developing your relationship with money, that savings is not available for you now. It's available for you later, but it is not cash, right? So the net cash is going to be your income minus your savings minus your expenses. That's how much cash you have. Now, it's different than just saying you had $315 of expenses, but that is the cash you're left with. So I did this. This is in there. You can go through and sort of see what weeks are which to say, okay, you know, what does my month over month look like? This is broken down over week. I could probably code it at some point, but for now, it's just week over week to do months. But this is an example, so you could see, okay, so my January so far total income is $1,000. I saved $200. I've spent $370. So I actually have $430 of extra cash that I can choose to do with it. I could choose to put that $430 in savings. So let's say I feel good about that. So it's the 15th, and I want to put that $430 into savings, right? Now, when I go back to the dashboard, Now it's going to say I have zero cash, right? Because I've used all my cash between my expenses and my savings. I now have zero cash at the end of January, right? So that's just one example of how this sort of can work. You go through, get rid of these. And if you start entering this, every single expense, I guarantee you that you will have a fundamentally different relationship with money. You will have a much better picture of where your money is coming and going. And you will ultimately, I think, save money, spend more intentionally, and have just a fundamental shift in how you go about earning, spending, and allowing cash to flow in and out of your life. Let me know if you have any questions.